Running a small business or nonprofit comes with enough challenges. Your accounting shouldn't be one of them. At Jacobs and Associates, CPA, LLC, we specialize in clear, reliable financial guidance tailored for small businesses and nonprofits. From everyday accounting to full outsourced CFO services, we help you make smarter decisions with confidence. Call us at 407 571 6995 or email tarsha at jacobs.cpa to discuss how we can meet your needs. Jacobs and Associates, your trusted partner in financial clarity. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of 5 Minutes in Coffee. My name is Jerry, and I am glad to be back sharing God's Word with you. Question for you today: what season of life are you in? Think about everything that's going on in your life, where you are, where you want to be, and think about what season of life am I in? Are you trying to obtain fruit out of season? Are you trying to now grow fruit in the wrong season? Today, I want to talk to you about seasons. And our thoughts will come from Ecclesiastes chapter 3. Starting at verse 1, it reads, "There is a time for everything, and everything on earth has its special season. There is a time to be born and a time to die. There is a time to plant and a time to pull up plants. There is a time to kill and a time to heal. There is a time to destroy and a time to build. There is a time to cry and a time to laugh. There is a time to be sad and a time to dance. There is a time to throw away stones and a time to gather them. There is a time to hug and a time not to hug. There is a time to look for something and a time to stop looking for it. There is a time to keep things and a time to throw things away. There is a time to tear apart and a time to sew together. There is a time to be silent and a time to speak. There is a time to love and a time to hate. There is time for war and a time for peace." Considering our different seasons and what each season actually means will determine our expectations of this life and how we go about our lives. In Ecclesiastes chapter 3, it just goes into such wonderful and poetic detail about the different seasons of our lives. If you are married, there was a point in time when you were single and you did things that a single person would do. If you are an empty nester, there was a point in time where you were raising children, and even within raising children, there were different seasons within that. There was the season of the newborn where you didn't sleep as much, and then the season of the toddler where you had to keep a very closeful eye. And then as they're starting to become themselves, then the teenage seasons, and then now the adult seasons. In life, we go through multiple seasons. And on top of going through multiple seasons, we can go through multiple seasons at the same time. For instance, you can have the season of your children playing sports and being very busy with extracurricular activities at the exact same time where you're in a season where your career is at its peak and it's demanding more time. We can have seasons where our health is in great shape and season when it's not, while it's also affecting a season in another part of our lives. So what I'm asking is, are you aware of the season of life that you are in? With certain crops, I can imagine that if you were to try to plant them in the wrong season, you are not going to be able to reap a harvest because you planted them at the wrong time. For our lives, everything just doesn't happen at once because that's just not the way it works. You don't have winter and summer on the same day unless you live in Florida. But imagine for me one moment that it snows early in the morning and then it's 90 degrees by 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Can you imagine the chaos of trying to manage a day where you're having multiple seasons? In the morning, you have the snowplow. In the afternoon, you have the lawnmower. In the morning, you're covering your plants because you don't want them to die from frostbite. But in the afternoon, you're putting down weed killers because you don't want weeds coming up. The absolute chaos of just that simple picture of why we don't experience multiple seasons at the same time. We don't experience being a entry level employee to an organization while also being its senior manager. Everything has a season. The reason why I say consider what season you are in is because God will put things in front of you intentionally. God has a work for each and every one of us. And if we are holding on to the past seasons, we may miss the work and the blessings of it in its current season. Over the last couple of months, one of the things that I've been very diligent about discussing is not accepting everything that comes my way and being a good steward of the time the Lord has blessed me with. What do I mean? If my children and my family are demanding more time from me, then perhaps it is not the right season for me to take on coaching for the Little League team or to increase my work within the church. It doesn't mean that I do no work, but it means I have to consider what has the Lord placed in front of me and how do I navigate it based on the seasons of life that I'm in. Don't get me wrong. Coaching a team is a good thing. It's an awesome opportunity to mentor young boys and girls and to lead them in the way that Christ would have you to lead them. Serving is an awesome thing because serving is one of the direct asks that the Lord gives us. But how effective is that if I do those things in lieu of giving my family what it needs to walk faithfully in the Lord? Just like I have no desire to shovel my driveway in the morning of snow and cut my grass in the afternoon, trying to accept and have all the seasons at once is not a good idea. It brings on stress that is absolutely not needed. And on top of the stress it brings upon you, that stress can then be felt by the others around you, thus lessening your absolute special gift that you give to the world. So why am I talking about seasons during this episode? Remember what I've often said in many of my podcast episodes. When you hear an episode, it is really just me talking to me as I navigate this life. And I'm just allowing you to be a fly on the wall and hear my ideas, hoping that it's a benefit to you. So in considering seasons, I've had to consider this podcast. And what do I want to do in its current season and in the season to come? I have been blessed with an opportunity to work within a ministry that brings the gospel to Creole-speaking Christians, to Haitians. Many of you may not know, and some of you do, but I am a Haitian. And I've often had a desire to bring the gospel to the Haitian community, and that opportunity has come before me. And I've been working behind the scenes for some time, and I've come to recognize that this is an awesome opportunity to set up a work to benefit those who may not be able to hear the gospel. I have been blessed to work on this project at an international level while not having to travel anywhere. So when I begin to consider what season of life am I in, the question that remained is, can you maintain this podcast? And can you also work in this ministry? Because of seasons, I am going to be taking a break for a season on this podcast so I can focus on this ministry. So my hope is that you will pray for this ministry, that the gospel can be delivered in its most pure and holy intended way, that it will be pleasing to God. If any of you want to reach out to me, you are very much welcome to do so. In all of the episodes where I've discussed making sure that you are faithful to what the Lord has asked you to do and to be great stewards of your time, I am not above those ideas, which is how I've come to this decision. As humans, it is not up to us to do every single thing, but it is up to us to do everything the Lord commands when He commands it. So, at the beginning of this episode, I asked you, what season of life are you in? Consider whether or not your seasons are lining up with what God has asked you to do, and are you living in a way that you are maximizing the seasons, being great stewards of the time the Lord has given you, so that in the spring you have the right fruit. In the summer, you're planting the right crops. In the winter, you are prepared for the cold. In the fall, you are doing what needs to be done. If you have found that this episode was beneficial to you, I ask that you share it with just one person. And even though I'm going to be on extended break from this podcast, please reach out to me if you want to connect with me. This is Jerry with 5 Minutes and Coffee.